Good afternoon, good evening. This is Enlace After Dark, and I'm your host, Art. Joining me as always is my co-host, Terry.
Hi, good to be back as always.
And following up on the newscaster reel, we have our special guest, Tanner.
Hi, how are you?
And on that excellent start, I think, right? Right? That's a good start?
Yep.
Yeah,
good
that
start.
sounds like a good
Third
start.
time's the charm.
It's the charm. Today's topic,
Video games.
video games.
Just
That's
so
why
you
I'm
guys know, I know little to nothing about video games, so I'm just going to let you guys talk for most of the time.
You know what? That's fine, because I think, Tanner, you're a member of the esports team here at A&M?
Yeah, I am the captain for the Valorant team. I also stream on Thursdays as part of the content crew. There will be a very, very small amount of time that you won't see me in the esports room. So,
yeah.
Okay, to start things off, can you let us know what exactly is esports?
it's esports is like the general overarching grouping of competitive video games. And there's different aspects to that. You have games that are, I know we have a chess team now, so technically chess could be an esport as long as it's electronic and done online through chess.com or something like that. But you also have games like Valorant, which I play, which are just first-person shooters with extra steps. In addition, I'm not sure if you would count this as esports, but there is speed running, which is pretty much completing a game or a goal as fast as you possibly can. Sometimes that includes manipulating the game and glitching it out, and sometimes that includes just doing it as fast as you can, as legitimate as you can. So it ranges.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and esports, even if itself is a growing category, is it not?
Um,
'Cause, like, what, a few years back, you wouldn't have even considered esports an actual thing, really?
Yeah, at least, I mean, it was a thing, but it was like very specific and you couldn't make a living out of it. Now you have players that you don't even really know the name of that are still making enough money to live. They're making more than like the average person would. It's currently only kept alive, or some games at least, are only kept alive through sponsors. But you have other games where it's like they get so much traction and so many views. I know the last League of Legends tournament got more views than the Super Bowl did. So it's definitely bringing in advertisers and revenue at the very least.
And I know our own esports team has a sponsor.
We have a bunch of small sponsors. I know recently we worked with, I'm forgetting their name. It's like an X-ray mouse pad company where they pretty much made custom mouse pads for us.
Yeah. On your YouTube channel, you have the reveal video.
We
for
do
them.
have a
They
reveal,
look
which
clean.
it was so good. We had somebody new come in, and she hand drew one of like frame by frame. One of the scenes, and it looked so good. I was so happy with it. I just got to sit there and watch it come together. It was just fun to see.
I think I actually came in on that night when they were doing the recording and the filming. I was actually there in the behind the scenes, throwing in my little inputs.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed the process myself. I mean, I'm here at Enlace doing what I did in high school, audiovisual production and all that. So, it was really fun to even like know behind the scenes, like, what they were doing to even get that shot, which was really cool.
We've switched up a lot this semester. We went from last semester being more of a relaxed team, and we really kicked into overdrive these first 2 months. There's definitely people that are carrying our organization right now with how much work they're putting in. But everybody's amazing, and I enjoy being there. So.
I know with the Tamusa's esports program, they're all about promoting the benefits of, of playing video games. Would you say that's what esports overall they want to do? They really just want to promote like what is great about like playing video games?
Yeah, I feel like in the past, people have really looked at esports as like, it's not a real thing.
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
a heavy stigma to it.
Yeah, like even it took my parents, who were very traditionalistic initially, 2 years of going to a gaming convention with me to open up and actually start looking into video games as like more like a legitimate thing. And even now, I'm working on something else with somebody else, but it's looking back at it, it's weird now seeing them in the Twitch chat of our games, watching us and commenting on it.
Oh yeah.
It's fun to see support, and it makes me understand. There's definitely people that used to think it couldn't be a thing that are converting over and being like, well, it's just changing times, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I like seeing a lot of people open up to it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could remember like back at like middle school, high school, elementary, just thinking, oh man, how cool would it be to just play video games all day? That was just the childish dream, to just play video games and just do that all day and make a living off of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now here we are, and it's more or less a reality. You've got, again, you know, esports professionals, players, students like yourself, and you know, we've got YouTube streamers, Twitch streamers, and you know, content creators doing that and creating video games as a living.
Even private coaches can make a living nowadays.
Oh yeah.
I know we have a coach for our Valorant team. I call him Coach Paul. He's consistently like top 500 in North America, and his job is coaching, going into college teams who want to pay for his service, coaching them. And so that means that it's not like whenever I say, like, because his in-game name is Random Noob, whenever I say that, you don't know him, right? It's a very small selective area of people that actually know him, but he can still make a living, and that was never thought to be possible in the past.
Yeah.
So
What kind of skills can you develop when you're, you know, playing, you know, esports or just video games in general? Do you think?
At the very minimum, if you're playing by yourself, you are improving your hand-eye coordination. That was like one of the main arguments that people were like, oh, no matter what, it makes you better at hand-eye coordination. But in reality, how often are you going to use that hand-eye coordination? You know? So I would go more like on the actual team aspect. At the very minimum, you have to be able to communicate and call specific things out, use specific jargon that would obviously not be used anywhere else.
By P90, rush B.
Yeah. Who else would know what that means?
By P90, rush B.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what that means.
You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to communicate your problems with other people. So it's more like even like
So aside from hand-eye coordination, you also develop and build up effective team communication skills.
Yes, it is.
And problem-solving skills even.
Going from a team in high school to a team in like college, and I'm talking about like a sports team in high school. This college team for video games, I have better communication with. I'm closer with. I learned how to communicate with them. We're better. Even one of the first things we did was like, hey, how do you like to be critiqued? Are you somebody who goes and is like, hey, I like during the game, I don't want to be critiqued. After, I'll go through it and you can talk with me about stuff. Is it something like genuinely cuss me out, tell me what I did wrong? It's at the very minimum, we're learning interpersonal communication skills that can develop to outside life, relationships, anything, and it's all beneficial. So
That's really cool.
That is really cool.
I didn't think that would be that way. I was expecting like a little club thing. So
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
You know, I mean, honestly, you can pick up a lot from video games in of itself, and there's even quite a few scientific papers and studies that do occur around video games. I think what video games are being utilized to like combat or slow down Alzheimer's in some
Really?
studies. Yeah.
That's really cool.
I saw a paper on it like a few years back about how like some asthma clinic was using, and it was a really just simple game. It was just like a little pattern recognition or like little level runner game. And you know, there was slight improvements in Alzheimer's patients. Although again, not major, but you know, they're being utilized and developed in fields outside of just this little world of video games and creation. I think what, actually, a few years back too as well, there was some talk of considering video games in a part of some of the film categories or something like that, because like stories and campaigns for some of the games are like they can just be so cinematically beautiful and just the way that they're rendered that they could like challenge or compete with animation studios. No.
Well, yeah. Even I mean, you start to get into like the anime scene. They're already mixing stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
There's story games nowadays that have bigger budgets than movies, and that is the thing. It is a story game that you can choose your path in, and that's about it. You know, it's like making your own movie and being able to make your own movie over and over again and spend a ton of time collecting everything.
There's even video games that have better stories than movies that we see. So,
There are plenty.
I mean, there's been movie adaptations that have tried to do it, but
Doom.
not well. I mean, we know the Mortal Kombat movies; they're not that great.
Mortal Kombat movies. There was Doom. There was.
More recently, there's The Last of Us.
Halo has never succeeded.
I don't know.
TV shows.
Okay, TV shows. No. Forward Onto Dawn. Forward Onto Dawn was a good movie. The Halo movie.
Is that the Reach one?
No. Forward Onto Dawn is the live action one where they follow Lasky, Admiral Lasky. When he was a recruit in it.
But is that? I'm thinking of Fall Unto Reach or something like that.
Yeah, you're thinking of Fall Into Reach.
I liked
the
Reach.
animated one.
No, the
that one's
non-animated one, the live-action one that was. In the end, Master Chief ended up coming and saving him at the last moment. I don't know. There's
Okay,
one or two that I personally liked, but that's about
we're
it.
probably confusing up movies or something here.
Yeah.
I think that's what's probably going on with that. But no, I mean, you're right. There were some video game adaptations into media that were good, weren't so great, and so forth.
Yeah.
But no, it's a very interesting industry right now that's seen so much growth. It's fantastic. It's crazy. I've got one question for you though right now, Tanner. What got you into like esports? What got you into doing this in college?
Being bored.
Being bored?
Ultimately, it was being bored. And I say that because it was like I had nothing else to do. Our campus is somewhat limited. It's newer.
It's a growing
It's
campus.
expanding, and that's cool. But when I want to have a actual like powerlifting team, right? We don't have the stuff on campus for that.
Yeah.
We don't have the calibrated plates. We don't have
the facilities. We don't have the tools. We don't have
the money right
materials
now.
And money, yeah, big thing.
And as much as I'd be like mentally, I'd be like, oh, it's a growing community. That's okay. It'll eventually come. It'll come 8 years down the line when I've already graduated.
Yeah,
Right?
that's it for a lot of us.
And that's all cool because I enjoy being part of the growing community, and I like being part of like
Like
one
right
of the
now,
things
we're all little pioneers, developers.
This semester, my goal was to create some type of legacy, no matter how small it was. So 2 years down the line, somebody would still be able to mention me, and somebody would have remembered something. But yeah, I got into video game or esports specifically out of boredom because
You needed an outlet. You needed something to do.
at least some type of social interaction.
Yeah.
Other than because all last semester I went over to UTSA and did stuff over there, but now that I'm like here this semester, it's video games and esports specifically that is keeping me around. So.
I mean, that was a very interesting answer. I wasn't expecting
Well,
Boredom.
I
was
know. I
honest.
mean, that's the most honest answer I could have ever gotten. But I was expecting something like the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, I was a plat player in R6, and I wanted to just develop my skills and make myself, higher than a plat and compete on stage at the R6 Nationals. And
Nah.
blah, 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 blah. No, boredom.
Until like 2 days ago, my goal has always been I'm doing this for the potential at a scholarship. I don't really care about what else happens. Like I'm playing. I'm putting a excessive amount of time and effort in, but
You're making an effort.
I'm
but at
making
the
an
end of the
effort.
day-
There was a documentary that I watched recently, and it was Jonah Hill and his therapist. And I have a mom who's a counselor, and I have been and talked with counselors all my life. I've been around all that. So for me, it was more of like I saw something in there that was like called the potency of non-attachment, where it was you strive to be your best and go for any goal you want, but you always have to be okay with losing it. And I was okay with that. But then until like 2 days ago, I was like, well, why don't I just strive for it, but be okay with losing it, but like strive for greater? Because I feel like it limited my mindset a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, let's strive for something realistic. But if you're okay with losing it the whole time, why not strive for the best possible thing you can have, or the biggest possible thing, and just go for it? So the goal right now is
Leave something behind.
the goal right now is not even leave something behind, but now it's evolved to, because I expect to transfer next semester.
Oh, okay.
My goal is to get to a point where I can do school and progress at school, and at the same time make myself known enough, not only in Temusa or in College Station where I will be going, but also make myself known to big esports corporations and big orgs, so I can get the potential to be like pretty much drafted in. And if that happens, why not? You
Yeah.
know, if I can get a good enough deal where I can play video games, as we were talking about, every kid's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So we'll catch church on Phase, huh?
Definitely not.
Not on Phase.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
Too much drama over there.
Honestly, I don't even like follow any of the esports teams, and yet I just somehow I always hear about the drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even follow it, and yet it follows you. But I think let's change up the topic of questions. You know, what are your favorite games, Tanner?
Obviously Valorant, because
Valorant
I
is
put
a
an
big one,
excessive
yeah.
amount of time. I streamed Stardew,
Stardew?
last Thursday, and it was more like I wanted a first game to stream to be something really, really relaxed and calm. And Stardew is one of those games. It's essentially a mix of Animal Crossing and Minecraft, where you have your story, but you can also go and do whatever you want. You can mine, you can fish, you can farm, it's just one of those games where you can sit down and you sink hundreds of hours into it and feel like you did nothing and accomplish nothing, but also be okay with accomplishing nothing. It's also fun with friends. So
Yeah, it is kind of fun with friends.
Yeah.
I've never played it personally, but it does seem like a fun, relaxing game.
I like the first person game, or not first person. I like the single player games a lot as well.
Oh yeah, single
So,
players are good.
it's-
Wind down from being in a big group too.
Yeah, just story games. Like in general, any story game works. Any story game's fun. Also, they're cheap.
They
Yeah.
are cheap when you can play by yourself.
Yeah. So
What about you, Terry? I know you're not the avid gamer, but do you in your limited experience, do you have a
With
few that you
my
like
limited
to name?
experience, I basically like the games where it pretty much I don't have to do much. Well, I still kind of do. I used to love playing like the old Pokemon games that you'd play on the Game Boy. I used to love playing those all the time. I
Okay.
could pretty much spend hours like just catching Pokemon and battling, gym leaders and stuff. And to go very old school, I used to like playing like the old 80s video games, Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaga. Those are really fun. The
Dig
old
Dug.
school arcade games. What's wrong with Dig Dug?
It's just such an obscure like 80s, 90s game
It
that
is not
like
that obscure.
like it is. Like I grew up playing Dig Dug maybe once or twice and then I forgot about it and then it's just somewhere in the back of my mind like there was a game where I would just dig down and just go around and do stuff.
like,
what
the
was it
little
called?
music
It was something dig something and then it's Dig Dug.
I'm pretty sure you didn't even remember it until I brought it up.
yeah.
I remembered it even before that, but I feel like Dig Dug's a very obscure
Yeah.
game.
And
Out of
then
all the games,
Out of
like,
all of them, because
Yeah.
like I think Galaga, Pac-Man, and Tetris are like the bigger ones from back then too that like everyone knows,
Yeah.
and somehow even a dentist's office might have that arcade box.
And then, of course, I like the games, where you get to choose a person, like choose a character, and then you just like fight somebody. But with those kind of games, like Mortal Kombat and those similar games, I think I just do a lot of button mashing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
do combo moves when it comes to that.
No offense, but I don't think you do well at their Smash Tuesdays or no Tuesday takedowns.
Tuesday takedowns.
Tuesday
Yeah.
takedowns on campus. Where at, Tanner?
It's right outside the esports room, so it is the rec area with all the ping pong tables. If
In
that
the
means
camp
anything.
facilities, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I would not recommend going into the tournament
Oh,
unless you're
no.
okay with losing that $5 entry fee, because everybody there is amazing. And I've spent hundreds of hours on Smash Ultimate, and I don't stand a chance against any of them.
No, I'll definitely just stick to watching.
Mhm.
And I'll also stick to watching like the YouTubers, who do
Yeah.
that. The classic ones. Markiplier is definitely a big one
Markiplier.
too.
PewDiePie doesn't do content anymore, does he?
He still does content. I know that he's having a kid, which was kind of
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's real.
Aw.
It's so cool and so like weird in a sense to be like, oh yeah, I remember this guy from when I was like 12 in
Yeah.
middle school, and I remember watching a video every now and then, and now look at me, I'm 20, and oh my god, this guy from the internet that I
Yeah.
know nothing of other than he's a YouTuber. Oh my god, he's been
having a
married. Oh
kid.
my god, he's having a kid.
Yeah.
It's
Just
so
like thinking
weird.
about like all those like video game like YouTubers, like who would play video games. Like I think that was actually a good example of like early esports, wouldn't it? Like, well, at least like
Well,
what some people strive to be.
It's like the thing with like the video game industry, I guess, and being a player of video games is feasibly like, yeah, you wanted to make your living off of playing video games and everything, but there was nothing to do but YouTube and Twitch. So that's was one of the original, I think, goals that most gamers had was to build a channel, build a fan base there, and somehow do that for a living. And then along came the different companies and corporations that found out, oh, you know what, let's actually do something with this, right?
It was one of the earliest people I can think of that because it wasn't feasible to go and try and be actual competitive esports player or on a team and make a living. Because some of these people would be making, I remember the salaries early on being like $36,000, which is sustainable if you stretch what you can and you don't have anybody relying on you. That is very, very doable. It's very like realistic. But I remember like Shroud, he was making $45,000 a year playing 8 to 10 hours a day consistently, which is more hours than normal for less pay than normal. But on the other hand, he quit, started streaming, and then became number one streamer, or not number one streamer, somewhere in the really, really top. Just because he was so good at the game, everybody just wanted to watch him anyways. So, and then they realized, oh, he has a really good personality, and so they kept watching. And I remember early on, he started making 5 times his initial salary within like 2 months, just by streaming. So that was the route that you could make a lot of money on. That was the celebrity route. But now it's like you can have the celebrity route and the pro esports route at the same time. So.
Yeah, esports has gone a long way.
It really has.
And the video game industry itself, again, has just gone a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Art, what's your favorite kind of video games?
I forgot to
you know
ask.
what,
I was
Art?
about to ask,
I'll
okay.
tell you, Art. I think
Do
some
we
of my
really have to
favorite.
know? I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
okay.
I'm
No,
kidding. Let us
it's
know.
fine.
What is your
No.
favorite video?
Some of my favorite video games, I think right now, my favorite video game is definitely Pokemon Legends of Arceus. Dude,
That's
there's so much post game with that. There's just so much post game on that front. But no, I have a real big soft spot for a lot of first person shooters. So another favorite game of mine is honestly R6. R6. I talked about it last time on the Esports podcast that they have here as well in this studio. What else? But I do like a lot of my RTS or tactical games. So games like Civ, XCOM 2, Stellaris, which is oh god, that's such a big brain game. I can't. But yeah, like those are some of my favorites. So just a simple Pokemon first-person shooters and just tactical games.
Mm-hmm. Why
Mhm.
Arceus of all things? You could have gone like with a, like Heart Gold or Soul Silver, like a childhood favorite.
I know.
Well, the thing is I have Arceus
Mhm.
right now, and I'm still playing through it.
Could have done Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire.
Okay. My favorite Pokemon game is my first Pokemon game ever, and that is Pokemon Platinum. Back when Gen 5 was the new hit thing in October 10th, not 10th, but October of 2010, or was it 2012? I was in the third grade. I'm gonna go with the 2010 of October when it was coming out in the fall, and my first Pokemon from then was Chimchar, and has always been Chimchar. Any chance I can get with that game. And so that's my childhood favorite one right there. So that's why I was really excited for Arceus, because it was, it's in the same Sinnoh area, but it's a look back on the past and all that jazz. So, I was really excited when that one was announced.
Okay,
That's fair.
that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your starter Pokemon? Of like the original Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle?
Ooh. I have Fire Red, and I think my first playthrough, I went with Charmander, because I have Fire Red.
That was mine
like-
too. I would pick Charmander.
You got to go with that. And then after that, I think I've consistently picked Bulbasaur. Not Bulbasaur, Squirtle every time.
Mm.
What about you, Dan?
I always went. I did the least common, or what I expected the least common.
Pick would be?
Yeah, pick would be. So like number one, I expected Charmander to
Yeah.
be number one,
Mm-hmm.
Squirtle to be number two because Blastoise looks cool, and then I would always get Bulbasaur,
Mhm.
and I would get it to not Venusaur,
Ivysaur.
Ivysaur, and I would just keep it there.
Mm.
It was just something weird that I always did, and I do this thing now where any type of new Pokemon game that comes out, I get the Pokemon cards from that game,
Mhm.
and then I get them graded, and so I have the game cartridge with a fully completed Pokemon like stack who beat the Elite Four or whatever it is in that game. And then I have the full, that full stack is all of the 6 shiny. So I start the games by farming 7 hours, 8 hours to get the starter shiny.
You did not sit there and waste away your day
Yeah.
restarting your game.
Yeah, I did.
Until you get the shiny choice.
So
Oh
I
my
would do
God.
that, and then I get all the cards and get them
Please.
graded. And then I have a little set where it's like you get the cartridge with all the stuff on it, and you have the 6 Pokemon starters in the card versions graded right behind them. And I've done that for every single game.
I will say, like, picturing that, that's a great
Mhm.
little trophy wall collection there.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
I admire
But-
your patience.
I couldn't.
Some of
And-
the stuff gets expensive though.
Yeah,
Some of
I
those
believe
cards.
that.
I can imagine.
So
Yeah, the card industry in itself is a whole nother beast
Yeah,
to
a
tackle.
whole thing.
I was this is one card that I've always wanted since I was a little kid. It's it's just a normal Dragonite Hollow from one of the first sets.
Mhm.
And I was considering buying it last year because I had the excess money, and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm thinking about buying it, and I decided not to.
Right.
This was when it was at $180, and at the end of last year it was at $960. So I should have just bought it and sold it again.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Probably
yeah.
a lot of those old school Pokemon cards, they cost they're probably worth
Yeah.
a lot.
They're worth like an arm and a leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even seen it scroll through of like different like legendary Pokemon cards that are upwards like worth of like near millions of dollars.
Oh my god.
Like I think there's a shiny holographic Charizard card.
There's
there.
a ton.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
all it's the most sought out card of every single set everywhere. So if you get one, you could get it graded. I know the Valorant team mixed with a little bit of the content crew decided to go like on a little Pokemon card journey recently where we all spent way too much
Yeah.
for absolutely nothing. But it's more
it
like
was for the experience.
it's for the fun. It's
Yeah.
for the
The
fun of
experience.
it.
It's something to do. I know one of the card shops around here has one of the packs, the original packs,
Mhm.
a single pack.
Well, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. It's a single pack that is graded and so they pretty much seal this pack. You can't open it. It's in like this like plastic seal, and I think they're selling it for $1,500.
Oh wow.
So it's sealed. You can't even open it. You
Yeah,
can't
I'm
even
sure
like
they've never been
touch
opened.
it. It's definitely just a collector's
Nothing.
item.
The team totally isn't getting mad at me for getting up and turning off the lights.
I would
Totally
get
not.
mad at you.
I wouldn't. I'm saving them steps.
They like one of them just gave you the finger, not the middle finger, but the no.
Yeah, I know. I do what I want.
I know.
Not really, but
Within
anyhow.
reason.
Within reason, I do what I want.
But yeah, Pokemon's always been popular. Even I just remember Pokemon when I was, a kid. Like the Pokemon cards would just be everywhere, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
would just basically like see these kids, taking all these cards and trading them. Back when trading was a thing. I think now
I
you
mean,
just
trading is still a thing, but it's a much more sacred thing
Yeah.
to do. Shoot, I remember in elementary back when you were the popular kid, if you had Pokemon or if you brought your DS to school and you'd be out there on the playground just playing or watching your friend play it. I did that with my friends.
that was always
But I
fun.
mean, it's not like we were the cool kids for that, but
Didn't really have a DS. Well, I mean, I played DS only because I would treat it like a Game Boy, because I know like the older DS models, you can take the
Oh,
Game
yeah,
Boy
the
things and you
first
can
ones
play
had
it.
the
And I think that was the only reason why I
cartridge.
had a DS for a bit, because you could do that. So I want to get a Game Boy again. I need to go to like a,
Nintendo announced that the Switch is opening up to getting Game Boy games on it now.
Really?
To emulate it and
They
stuff
have a
like that, yeah.
section on there already with.
I think they have some Legend of Zeldas.
They do. All the old Zeldas from NES,
Oh, wow.
and I think they're expanding.
Yeah, they
soon.
have plans to add on more, which is something, ironically, a year or two back, I had this discussion with my friend of this exact same thing where like Nintendo could be making so much money if they just re-released all the games as they were onto the Switch, but yet they didn't do that, and now finally they're doing it. So
Even if they just put the old games on a new cartridge and call it the exact same thing and put it up for like $60, people would still buy that.
Yeah.
people would buy it at $60, but shoot, I wouldn't.
I mean,
like if it's the same exact experience.
but like you can play it on the new device.
Yeah, I understand.
Only
that.
difference.
Yeah.
The only difference is not worth $60. Come at
really,
me
what's
when
the
it's
most you would spend on it?
It's not
On
the
that?
worst Nintendo has done.
It's not the worst Nintendo has done. You're not wrong. If I'm pushing how much I would go for it, 40, but I'm drawing my line at honestly 30. I
Okay.
am not paying full price for the exact same game experience that I paid for like $15 at a flea market to get.
That's
Okay.
true.
That's fair. That's fair.
Right? Because that's like where you get most video games cheap these days, especially like some of the more original stuff too, because they don't know the worth of it.
Yeah, but would they work though?
I mean,
More than likely. I mean, that's where I got my Game Boy Fire Red from.
Oh my god,
And it worked.
I gotta go to a flea market this weekend
no,
then.
I have recently, because I really, really wanted it, I really wanted to play it, I rebought Soul Silver because I had Heart Gold, right? It's expensive. Minimum you can find it nowadays is $90 to $110 for
Yeah,
this game.
because it's a good Pokemon game.
But if they were to re-release that at the $60 mark, that would be better than the $110 I
That
spent
would be
on
better.
it.
That would be
So-
better. I'll take that argument. I'll accept it, but still.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that leads to like an interesting question for me because, well, I wouldn't know about it, so I'm asking as a newbie. What is the most you've ever spent on like certain gaming equipment? And now I'm curious.
My PC was probably somewhere around 1,200 to maybe 1,300.
Oh wow! And is that usually like the average someone would spend on that? Or?
No,
It could get more
it
expensive.
could get so much worse.
Oh.
I mean, so when I was building my PC, I had in mind, and actually one of our tech members in the back working everything, Trey, helped me put a little shopping list together of like, what I need. And I spent that much for the bare bones of it. So like just enough to keep me playing the video games that I would play with my friends and to keep me with like room to upgrade and make changes as they come by. So honestly, my PC is an expensive skeleton.
Wow.
Mhm.
How much have you spent, Tanner?
It's okay.
I
no
have
judgment.
my PC over time was probably around 1800 or 1900, and that's on the safer side. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's talking about the PC. That's not talking about your mouse, your
That's not
monitor,
your
your
mouse, the
keyboard, your
monitor.
headphones, your microphone, even the Ethernet cord at that point if you need to get one. But I build keyboards.
Oh, really?
So I have this one keyboard that I built my first few, and I was like, okay, this is cool, and I could sell it to people. That's whatever. And so I built this keyboard that I expected for me to love and be my favorite, and it ended up being the one I just don't touch because it's a little bit too expensive. It costed me a year and a half of waiting and finding the parts and $600 to make this keyboard. And then if I were to resell it, I'd have to sell a keyboard for $800 pretty much because I put 40, 50 hours into making this thing. So at that point, it would have to be like nobody's buying a keyboard for $800 unless like that's your living.
Yeah.
You know?
Unless that keyboard, which I saw one recently online of this keyboard that not only had like LED effects, but was essentially a typable monitor that had its own display, and it was like a little pond, and every key you clicked had a little like what's one calls it? Had like a little wave effect, you know, like a little ripple effect every time you clicked a key, and that was the craziest keyboard I'd ever seen because I'd seen ones where the LED, like, oh yeah, they do a little effect where it goes through, but no, this was like a monitor keyboard in itself. You had like the full keyboard was a display. I was like, that is too expensive.
I saw that one, and it absolutely reminded me of whenever you go to those like those malls or those old game centers, and there was the square thing on the ground, and you touched it, and it was this interactive screen on the floor where it would be like fish, and you could step on the fish or something like that.
Have you seen that around there?
I have not. I was actually going to ask, what makes that kind of keyboard like for gaming? What does that make? How does that? What difference is it between like a regular keyboard that you see like on a computer or a laptop?
Okay, the one we were just talking about with the ripple effect and stuff, that's like that's a display keyboard. You're not touching that ever.
Okay.
That's a display one right there. But Tanner, you make keyboards.
It's all preference.
Oh, okay.
What a lot of people don't realize is each individual switch is comprised of like 5 different parts. So whenever I built them initially, I was just building them nonchalantly, not like focusing on the actual parts on how to make it better or anything like that. And I was like, ooh, I want it to click this time. Ooh, I want it to be silent. And that's all I was worried about. But now it's like you can make it activate with less pressure. You can make it clicky or non-clicky, which is like the basic thing I was talking about. You can actually feel the click, or you can not feel the click. You can obviously a lot of this can be changed. You can go and open up each of the switches and put like a little piece of film in it to make sure there's no rattle. Because that's a big thing that a lot of people hate. They hate going and touching a space bar and feeling a little bit of a rattle on it. I don't know why it just triggers people. It doesn't trigger me at all.
Yeah.
But some people like to have like a mechanical keyboard that doesn't rattle at all and is as like silent and smooth as possible. So you have to manually open up each of the switches and loop them, and it's tiring. It takes a lot of time and effort for no reason.
Yeah, and I'm sure every esports player, gamer, professional has their own preference for all their keyboards and probably have it like min-maxed out to however they want it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, especially when you get to PC, like competitive gaming, you got to move fast on those keys too. Like, you probably want that lighter touch on your keyboard, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I build keyboards, and my number 5 key just hasn't worked for like 3 weeks now. I need to fix that.
What did you do to your number 5?
I don't know.
Is it on your numpad or your...
No. Number 5 in the center. I don't even use it when I play games.
What?
It just doesn't work.
What did you do
Oh,
to your
it
number
works,
5?
but I have to like manually pick up my keyboard and like press my thumb into it.
What did you do?
I don't know.
That is the weirdest problem
It's
I've
like the
heard.
weirdest number too. All my like
I mean,
letter keys work perfect,
Like
and
a
like
Yeah,
1
I-
through
I
4
would have
works perfect.
expected like the WASD or even
Yeah, no.
spacebar or something.
Yeah,
maybe
no.
maybe 1 through 3 or something. But 5?
Yeah.
Just like random number 5.
That is a random number. that is. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of that.
I just need to open it up and figure it out.
More than likely, you know.
That's really interesting that you make your own keyboards, though.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met someone who does that. So,
It's like a Lego.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
they are
They,
like
they look
Legos.
like Lego pieces if you.
I've seen a few of them being built, and they honestly are just like a fancy Lego system. So,
It's probably cheaper at this point now as well.
oh, then a Lego set, yeah.
Yeah, there's some kits that
Oh,
have
God,
like
yeah.
are like $80.
Yeah.
Most
Like,
likely.
God, all the markets are going crazy right now. There's no way to feasibly be a fan in something and not spend too much somehow.
That's why I like video games. You can spend $3 and play something for 100 hours, and
Yeah. Well, it depends on the video game, but like big name
Yeah.
video games now are bumping their prices up to $70.
just don't touch the new games.
I know.
But
I
what
mean,
if you want to play one of the new games?
Wait for it to go on sale.
That's true.
honestly, that's your best
Some
bet.
companies don't do that, and I hate it. Like COD, it took them 8 years to put Black Ops 2 on sale,
Oh yeah.
and it was like on sale $20 off. I'm not paying $40 for an 8-year-old game. But
Yeah, and then sometimes the discounts aren't even worth it. Like, oh my god, Squad on PC. I've heard mixed reviews from my friends and others about it, and Squad ultimately just does not go less than like a 5% sale or something like that when they do go on sale. So you're not paying $60 for it; you're paying $50 for it, and it's just like, why do you do this to me?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Whereas a game like Arma, I could pay like $20 and get most of the DLCs with that too. So
yeah,
yeah.
It's a good thing I don't play those. I mean, yeah, I think the most, I guess you could say, recent one I played is like Mario Kart. I like that.
Mario Kart on what
I-
device?
On the Switch.
On the Switch. Okay.
Was that the latest one? Was it on the Switch? I think
I
it
think
was.
it's Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
That's
I
fair.
like Mario Kart. That's fine. And the okay, and Mario Party.
And Mario
Party's fine,
Party.
Yes.
I mean, they're all fine and dandy games, but
They're fun games for me.
oh man. Well, thank you, Tanner, for joining us on today's podcast. Where can we catch more of you in esports here at Tamusa?
You can go to any Tamusa Esports social media. We have an Instagram. We have a Twitch channel, which I will be streaming every Thursday at 9 p.m. Weird off hours, but we also have an Overwatch game before that. So we also have amazing casters everywhere. So if you ever want to see the insight into college esports, we have 4 or 5 different games that are casted every single week, different days of the week too. And yeah, that's it. I'm not going to plug my own stuff because
Well, it's briefly mentioned. Esports does have a podcast, don't they?
we
Yes, they
do.
do.
We have a
Yeah.
YouTube channel as well. So if you just search up Tamusa Esports on anything, you'll probably find something.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be Tamusa Esports for everything, honestly.
Yes, check them out.
And this has been Enlace After Dark. Again, thank you, Tanner. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, I think I've learned a
And-
lot. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
It sticks with me.
And we will catch you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.